It appears Chris Godwin had a second surgery. Unclear if it's a knee or another ankle situation, because the ESPN report that talks about it as being a second ankle surgery and then a second, I'll show you right here. So we're not too sure what to make of it. It's a little bit cloudy, but this report right here from ESPN, multiple sources tell ESPN that Chris Godwin underwent a second procedure on his ankle this spring, shedding further light on his rehab. And then when you dig into the article, you actually click on it and read. This is what you see. Multiple sources told ESPN that Chris Godwin underwent another minor knee procedure this spring to have it cleaned out, but a source said it wasn't a surprise and Godwin is doing well. So there's a possibility he had two procedures, or this ESPN reporter, either the person tweeting or the person that wrote the article, or both of them mixed up whether it was a second knee or a second ankle surgery or an additional knee surgery. Either way, it does appear that Chris Godwin has had a second surgery, and Egbuka season is literally loading as we speak. It's
Let him cook.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So we'll talk about this Godwin and Egbuka stuff first. Then we have some other news, and we might just kind of, quickly rehash the earlier show just very briefly, then open up phone lines. But look, Emeka Egbuka is a wide receiver that walks into this Tampa Bay situation with Baker Mayfield firing on all cylinders. You got an aging, amazing veteran that's aging out in Mike Evans that will be lucky to get 1,000 yards even, like 1050, 1090, 1,100 yards. I don't even know if I anticipate 1,100 yards. And I kind of feel like I don't see more than like 13, 14 games for Mike Evans. But even if he does muster up a 1,100 yard, 8 touchdown season, Mike Evans, who certainly could, I'm not saying to bank on it though. There's still room for Egbuka to have 1,000 yards and 7-8 touchdowns. This is definitely a scenario I anticipate Egbuka leading. I think Egbuka exits 2025 as the top producing wide receiver from this wide receiver room. Chris Godwin's battling injury constantly. We have this report that I just read you, or these conflicting pieces from the same report, or it's just written in a way that's confusing, and he actually had a knee surgery and a second ankle surgery, but it does appear he had a second surgery. So he's on the PUP list. If for those that don't know, Godwin was put on the PUP. Wirfs was put on the PUP. They've got, some problems in Tampa, you could say. Bucky's going to be leaned on. But Egbuka was drafted for this very reason. If Godwin isn't ready, and he most certainly will not be ready for week 1, and he'd get injured if they did rush him, or if he rushed himself, Egbuka is going to eventually get a hold of everything he needs when Godwin goes down. And if Godwin is delayed getting into the lineup for 4 games because he starts the year on PUP, then Egbuka, and yeah, McMillan's going to be in the mix too, but Egbuka is going to the moon. This is a rover wide receiver that did this in college, played with some of the best wide receiver talent that a person can play with, from Jeremiah Smith on down. Egbuka has played in a better wide receiver room in college than his current wide receiver room in Tampa. And it's not even close, to be honest with you. This is an older, aging out group, and Godwin and Evans, maybe in Evans' prime, Egbuka will walk into the best wide receiver room he's ever had the challenge of going up against. But Egbuka is the future. Egbuka has top 12 wide receiver upside and appeal in Dynasty, and in 2025 redraft, he could be a league-winning player, a straight-up league-winning monster that can take you to the promised land and play to the tune of a top 12 to 14, top 12 to 15 wide receiver from deep in the wide receiver 3 territory. This is a monster. Overcome, appreciate your super chat earlier. I don't know if you saw my answer, but dial in if you want, Overcome, or re-ask a question, and I'll definitely readdress it. But appreciate your $20 holler earlier. I don't know if you were here when I answered it. So, this is exciting. No one's celebrating injury. This is exciting from the Egbuka perspective. Okay, we're always never celebrating injury. We don't always, everybody can win. We don't need people to get hurt for players to do well. But when that happens, we adjust and adapt, and we're here to sift through the noise. We have 200 people on YouTube. Please hit that thumb up button. We only have 39 thumbs up. I've got a handful of people on X. Get on over to the YouTube channel as well. We don't always go live on X, so you want to jump on YouTube and make sure you're subscribed. Stay away from Godwin this year in pretty much any format. I'm not saying that if he fell far enough, I wouldn't be intrigued and potentially look to grab Godwin. But right now, there's just safer players, better players, players that have more upside without the risk than going with Godwin. And Egbuka is one of the biggest steals in fantasy football 2025, period. You need a wide receiver 3 that can play like a wide receiver 2. This is your guy. You want a guy that might be able to sniff, on occasion, wide receiver, we'll go like 12 to 15 numbers. Let's not get ahead of our skis. But this is a player that can do it. This is a player that can win leagues. You can cuff him to McMillan and best ball. You can grab Godwin or Evans and cuff him to Egbuka if you want. But I'm drafting this guy wherever I can. There's a reason he's a Mars man, I think.
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
Mars man extraordinaire. Love the kid. Going to the moon.
Loads dropping.
Once we have more clarification on what surgery Mike Evans had, again, it's conflicting just for anybody that came in. This ESPN tweet, which links to the article, says that he had a second surgery on his dislocated ankle. And then this one here, when you dig into the actual article, this piece right here that comes from the actual article says multiple sources told ESPN Godwin underwent another minor knee procedure this spring. So the last couple months to clear out his knee. And usually when you have those issues, you tend to have more, your knees don't get better when you start digging into to cartilage, and you have, things floating in there. And there's a lot of reasons that you got to continue to have, cleanups and scopes. And this is why A.J. Brown concerns me so badly, because one day A.J. Brown's just going to not be able to stay healthy, and his knees are going to be the reason. Isaiah Bond, I'll admit, when I first saw this, I thought this was going to be good news. But we'll see where this goes from here. The United States District Court in Northern Texas dismissed former Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond's defamation lawsuit against the accuser in the sexual assault case. So not good that got dismissed against his accuser. We'll see where this goes from here. Currently, the guy's not signed, and I don't anticipate him signing anytime soon. And this is bad news for Judkins. If you thought Judkins was going to potentially get signed by the Browns, and the other Browns, they could surprise us. But Judkins is looking like a player that most certainly will not be playing week 1 at this stage in this process. I think it's pretty clear right now that he'll be lucky to even be a Brown and sign the contract. The Browns have instructed him to go focus on this case and not worry about football, aka we're not signing you. And all these reports we've gathered over the last handful of weeks, or last week or so, have suggested that the Browns are not in a rush to sign him. And I believe that the commissioner has already picked up the phone and said, you know what we're doing with Isaiah Bond? No one's even touching Isaiah Bond. Don't sign Judkins. This is bad optics. And so Judkins playing at all in 2025 should be your question. Not, hey, should he play week 1? Can he play week 1, or is he going to be able to get his job back? I don't think Judkins is somebody that I'm drafting at all. Dylan Sampson's the player we've said all offseason is better than Judkins anyway. And when Judkins got drafted ahead of Dylan Sampson, I admittedly told everyone that the climb for Sampson would be a little more difficult now, but he's still the better player. It doesn't change anything. And he's got a kung fu grip on the receiving down work, eventual third down work. So Dylan Sampson's got a foot in the door. This is before all the Judkins stuff broke. Now, Dylan Sampson, even though Jerome Ford is starter in name, Jerome Ford will walk into week 1 as the starter. Make no mistake about it. Don't have some weird expectation that Sampson's starting week 1. But Sampson will have every opportunity to do what Judkins was going to do. Grab the job in its entirety at some point. And then if Judkins returns, Dylan Sampson's going to say, no, I'm not just going to hand the job to you. Come get it. So more on that. Bijan Robinson. This is old. It's being reported right now, so I thought I'd bring it up, even though we've already done a live stream on this. It's like people are recirculating old information. Falcons QB Michael Penix Jr. said, as many times as we can get the ball in Bijan's hands, we're going to do it. This is an old quote. He said this already. Maybe he repeated it today or something, but people are reporting this. Old news. We did this. We did a live stream on this. But this is great news. We know Bijan is the one running back that has literally no red flags. Not one. Situation, everything's improved from top to bottom. And anything that hasn't improved is just staying amazingly the same. His situation is gold. In Detroit, there's problems. There's offensive line issues. There's offensive coordinator loss. There's defensive pieces injured. There's a lot of question marks. Goff could turn back into a pumpkin without Ben Johnson. There's a lot of concerns, and I still love Gibbs as number 2 overall if I'm running back heavy thinking, right? I'm going Bijan, Gibbs. And I could argue Gibbs over Bijan if I wanted to. But when it comes down to it, these are the two best running backs in football. Bijan, Gibbs, Bijan. And I'm going to do a video here really soon on the two-headed monster where I recommend that you auction and grab Bijan and Gibbs and try and build a team around the two-headed monster. Something I coined many, many, many years ago, like 2002, 2003. The two-headed monster. Whether you, and people copy this all the time. People copy everything we do on this channel. We got people doing fantasy court now. We have people stealing everything we do. But it's okay because they steal because they can't think of it themselves. But we're going to have something on the two-headed monster. We do draft pick trading videos like no other. We do trading videos like no other. And grabbing this two-headed monster, again, something your boy coined so many years ago. We're gonna have a video on that. So get ready for that. But Bijan, this is old news that we already went live on, but it's fantastic to hear. As we already said, Bucky might be be without his top offensive tackle, the best in the league. But this report from Bulls saying that possibly Tristan could be ready sooner than later. And so he said, I don't know if it's week 1, week 2, week 3. This is inching toward everybody overreacted. And while he could miss 4 games, go on PUP, if he's taken off PUP before the season starts, he will be eligible to play week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And not putting him on PUP or leaving him on PUP would suggest that the team does believe he'll be back before the 4 weeks. Otherwise, they would have just left him on PUP. We'll see what happens there. But Bucky, any dip in value, take advantage of it any chance you get. Kyren Williams, we talked about this one already. Kyren Williams, he's practicing. He showed up. He's not holding in or holding out. This is a man. This is a man right here with the lightning bolt on the bridge of his nose. Look at, let me zoom in and show you. On the bridge of his nose, he has a lightning bolt, or it's a Jordan logo. Either way, he's balling, and this is a man, and he's going to show up and work, and he's going to get his contract extension. I can almost assure you that he will not leave this money on the table, even if he's feeling shortchanged. He's got to take advantage of this. This is a guy that hasn't really gotten a new contract. He hasn't gotten paid yet, really, at all. He's been playing on his nickels and dimes, and now he's going to wet his beak, and he's trying to do the best he can. His agent's trying to help him, and at some point he will fold and take this money. And once he gets paid and he's got the security, all these doubting Donnies, probably a lot of them won't flip and become Kyren fans, but some of them will. So his ADP will likely climb from, on underdog, it's around the end of the round 3 territory, which is just silly dumb. He'll climb to like 3.1 across the board. And in grandma leagues, you'll have to take him in the late second round. Just don't reach too high. Take advantage of what's going on. And Kyren, when asked about it, like a stud, like the stud that he is, said, for me, there was no decision in terms of holding out. There was no decision. A man shows up and does his duty. And I'm not trying to say that to then rip on Terry McLaurin, who is not present today. But this is one day. I think, I think that this is just a statement. He's going to get, potentially, the team can fine him $50,000 per day. I think he shows up here tomorrow or the next day, and just basically he's kind of showing, his frustration. But I also think a deal gets done. There's zero benefit for the Commanders to trade Terry McLaurin. Unless it gets so divided, which is one of the pieces that's needed for a trade to take place. A divided team versus player, a division, there's just no reconciliation, and then an offer the team can't refuse. Both those components are needed. I don't know that we're even remotely close to saying that this is a situation that can't be resolved. Zach Moss put on NFI. So, yeah. You ever heard of the guy named Chase Brown? Anthony Richardson could still have a shot at getting the job according to The Athletic, but I don't know. Danny Dimes is so bad. I think no matter what, Anthony Richardson is going to start games. Or if Anthony Richardson starts games, he'll get hurt. And then, both of them are going to play at some point. It's just a matter of, which one plays more games. I don't know. Which one ruins JT's value more? James Cook is not holding out. All this talk about wanting to get paid top 5 numbers. He's not showing up. Whatever. He showed up. He can't get fined. He can't afford to get fined. So no deal for James Cook. And then this last piece of news, again, this is kind of a recap of earlier, but I'm going through it at lightning speed. Juwan Jennings and Brandon Aiyuk. Let's see here. Oh, Diggs. Diggs looks good to go. Cleared. No restrictions at all. I still worry about him right now at his ripe age and trying to do too much too quickly. But look, he's definitely, looking good right now. Let me see if I got this other. Stafford is sitting out with some back soreness. I don't know that that's a big deal right now, but he is an old player. If he was to go down, Puka would vanish. And Adams would definitely, fade too. He's in the prime, the twilight. And if Adams didn't have Stafford, he would fall apart too. So the Rams are definitely, leaning on the back of Stafford, no pun intended. Juwan Jennings has not formally requested a trade. Okay. Well, that may happen, I suppose. And that's not good for the Niners. And overpaying him's not good either. The Niners are admittedly in a bad spot here. But I don't know what they're going to do. And Brandon Aiyuk, John Lynch said he's not anywhere close to having a concrete timeline on Aiyuk's return. Aiyuk is worthless this year, guys. Don't go near Aiyuk. No team wants him anyway. I predict that the Niners want to trade him as soon as next offseason, but you can't cut it. They'd even cut him. I heard from people that are very close to that situation that they honestly believe that the Niners would cut him if he wasn't injured. You can't cut an injured player. They're so badly wanting to walk away and wash their hands of Aiyuk. Aiyuk has just been a disaster. Just a straight disaster. And, he's already burning the contract years. Before long, he's going to want more money. He hasn't even played. All right, dial into the phone line. Phone line's open. Godwin had an additional surgery. We don't know for sure if it was both a knee and an additional ankle, or if it was just the additional ankle or just an additional knee, because of the conflicting way that it's written by ESPN via the tweet and then the actual article. But either way, it does appear Godwin did have a second surgery this spring. So we're talking about last month, the month prior to that, potentially. We're looking at maybe May, June. He probably had some sort of surgery. A second surgery is called a cleanup surgery. And anytime you're cleaning up, there's problems. And sometimes you have something that's in the way in the knee, and you got to just clean it up. Or you have to trim something meniscus-wise if it is a knee situation. If it's in the ankle, they just wanted to clear something out. It's called a clear-out surgery. But with Godwin's injury history, not a good thing. Not a good thing at all.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. Egbuka to the moon. Egbuka to the moon. Kyren to the moon. Kyren to the mother freaking moon.
He's Kyren. He's 7 feet tall. And he knows how to handle a ball.
Russian collusion in the building with the $5 hauler says, let's go, ladies. Hit those thumbs up. Appreciate you, collusion, dropping that. And then, like I said, overcome if you're out there. I answered your question. I don't know if you left or something, but I'm glad to help you again. Just let me know. Remember how, thank you for the $10 hauler. You get a Mars shot, young man. You get a Mars shot.
To Mars.
This one here is from, who is this from? Blanco. Blanco says, remember how Cade Otton played when Godwin and Evans were out? Egbuka will do the same thing. Yeah, for sure. And it's it doesn't matter his career. He's always played in crowded rooms and finds, ways to take over wide receiver rooms. And so expect that to be more of the same here. All right. If I'm going to go over to let's see here. I'm going to go over to the 978 caller. If the other caller can mute real quickly, and then I'm going to go over to the 97. Let me merge Bruce in. Hold on one second. All right, Bruce, hang tight, mute yourself. Okay, 978 caller, go ahead. You're live. Yep. 97.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
978.
Okay, I got a quick question.
Is this the 978 caller?
Regarding that. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What's your name, bro?
Nick from Arizona.
All right, Nick. What can I do for you, bro?
So I got a question regarding best ball. Two quick things like Judkins and Rice. How far of a fall on Judkins did you take him? And do you think it's a bad idea or a good idea to, like last night, Judkins fell to 128, and I took him. And then I also grabbed Sampson at 150, so I double cuffed it. Do you think that's a good idea, or what do you think about that?
Well, in the 120s, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the problem with that thinking, in my opinion. At 120, you said where did you grab Judkins at 120?
Yeah, Judkins sold a 128 in a BDM.
Okay. Problem is, I like Blue a whole lot more, and he's at 150. Now, you could get both of them, so it's not really the end of the world. But after you cuff that situation, can you really afford another non-starter? You know what I mean? In Blue, because then you got all these running backs that you're contingent upon when they get in there. Garendo is also a much better player for me, and he goes after that. He goes right after the 120s. You got Ray David. You got a lot of guys that are in that territory. I think what it is that people, and no offense, they want me to accept this situation at some point, and I'm not. I just don't think this could be 0 points, bro. You have no idea. You could be getting 0 points in best ball for Judkins. Doesn't matter if you cuff him. You can draft Sampson anyway. So to me, I don't think this is a good situation. I don't know that he's certainly in line to not play week 1. And he's certainly in line to get a 6 to 8 game suspension once it's all resolved. And so if it takes half a year to resolve and he gets 6 to 8, he might not play at all. If that's in some cases, my thinking of a best case scenario. Now, if things get expedited and he's able to get this thing completely, that's the problem though, bro. These things don't just get expedited for his leisure. You know what I mean? This is a domestic situation. Domestic situations get brought to the DA. And then the DA decides to move forward. Now, the DA could drop it. That's probably the best case scenario, is that the DA determines that there's not enough evidence. This is a crap case. And they drop it. And then Judkins probably gets signed by the Browns. The NFL could still suspend him because their evidence still suggests he did some wrongdoing. The NFL's done that before, and then he ends up playing half the season or whatever. Hard to know, but to me, this is very risky. We have a little bit of time. I suppose the case could get dropped between now and the start of the year. I would say do it in a couple leagues, but that's it. I'd still rather have Garendo. I'd still rather have Jayden Blue, because at the end of the day, they're also in the same situation. It's not like Judkins is going to walk straight back in, let's say 3 weeks from now, and just take the first and second down work. Ford's starting week 1. Sampson's going to be way ahead. So the best case scenario for Judkins, and this case gets dropped, the NFL doesn't do anything, the Browns sign him, and then nothing happens suspension-wise because the case was dropped, and then he's behind the 8 ball. How is he going to get back into the good graces of this team's pecking order? So it's I don't know, bro. I'd just rather grab Garendo. I'd rather grab Jayden Blue.
Okay, yeah, I just thought I've never taken Judkins at all.
Yeah.
At all. Not once is at that value. At least I cuffed him with Sampson, and I had Chase Brown and Charbonnet up top. So I'm I don't know. I just thought it might be a good idea to just do it one time, just in case. Because what if he does come back, then you're getting that value at 128,
Yeah, I no thanks.
And then what about Rice?
Even if I'm wrong, bro, who cares? I'm getting a player I believe has no risk and has more upside anyway than Judkins because he still lives in a 3-man committee that he's not in charge of. Ford is in charge of it. No matter what happens, there's going to be no case dropping, signing, getting him out there. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but it sounds to me like that's going to be a right near week 1 situation at best, and he's not going to catch up in time. And as for Rice, in this question, CB, come on, bro. Really? Do I have to explain it? A 6 to 8 game for Judkins, but only 2 to 3 for Rice? It's a domestic violence thing, CB. If he is convicted, if the DA proceeds and he ends up being guilty, does he deserve more of a suspension than Rice? Yeah, CB. He does. Probably deserves a year if he's actually guilty or found guilty of the domestic situation. Like, I'm not saying driving a car reckless is fun and a good idea. But CB, they're not even close. So yeah, you give someone a much bigger suspension for a domestic violence situation than a car crash, which was reckless. I mean, no one's trying to suggest it's a good idea, but this guy might even avoid a suspension altogether, and then everyone's gonna have their panties in a bunch. You imagine? No one's talking about this, but the Washington Post did. But there's a chance based on the policy that we read of the NFL on first-time offenders on a third-degree misdemeanor. He has 2 third-degree misdemeanors, which the 2 of them might make this where there's a suspension. If there was just 1, I think there's a chance he wouldn't even get suspended. He would just get fined, and because it's his first offense. But hard to say. I'd say expect 2 to 3 games for Rashee Rice. Expect not to see Judkins at all this year, and if it is what it is.
Okay, so in a BBM, where would you take Rice? I got him at 48 yesterday in a BBM.
Rice is gold in round 4. Gold. Just straight up win a league gold.
Okay, because I went Jefferson, Bowers, Chase Brown.
Yeah.
And then I got
Rice in round 4. Rice in round 4 is gold. Rice in round 5, you go straight to the bank and you ask him for an advance.
Okay. And last one real quick. How does McLaurin affect Daniels if he's not there? Do you think Daniels is still to the moon? Or, do you think he might, what do you think about, McLaurin? How does he affect JD5's value either up or down?
Well, let me ask you a question. He only had one of them last year. How good was he last year? I mean, of course he's going to the moon, bro.
Yeah.
He's a top 3 quarterback in fantasy no matter what. But he is obviously a little bit more safe and has more consistency if he gets both his wide receivers, of course. But yeah, I mean.
And you think Debo goes even higher with McLaurin out, or do you think McLaurin kind of helps take off the coverage on Debo? Or
it's going to be a thing where Debo, there's enough footballs to go around. You don't want McLaurin not there. You don't want Debo the focal point of a defense. You want Debo roaming free all over the field. So you want them both there. All right, bro. I got to go, bro. Later, bro.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Let's go over to the 443 caller. You're live.
Hey, what's up, Smitty? How you doing, man?
You what?
I was hoping you could expand on the Godwin injury.
I mean, I can only expand on what ESPN wrote. Like I said at the top, bro, I have no idea. We have no clue. We're just sitting here wondering. I mean, as I said, you've got the ESPN tweet that said that he had an additional foot. Let me pull it up. This is from ESPN. There's a second ankle procedure in the spring. And then when you go to the article and read it, it talks about ESPN sources, multiple sources told ESPN that Godwin underwent another minor knee procedure. So we don't know. A clean out usually does happen in the knee, but you could clean out the ankle as well. But my guess is that this tweet's wrong because, somebody tweeting, and I believe it's the same writer though. But somebody tweeting more likely a mess up in verbiage than I think on the whole article, but you never know. But we have no idea. All we know is he, according to this report, had a second surgery, and we're awaiting further clarification and other outlets to cover it, or Schefter or Rappaport. But it does sound like he had a second procedure in the spring, whether it was an ankle or knee. It's part of the reason why he's on the PUP list, and part of the reason why he's a complete avoid to me at the cost of entry, because the guy's always banged up. He's always hurt. He's not a spring chicken either, and Egbuka's here to take his job anyway.
Okay, so it's not something that had just happened recently, like today. It was like something like happened months
He
ago.
had surgery in the spring. So, yeah, it's not today. It's being told to
Right.
us today. Probably in May or
Right, yeah.
June, he had a
Okay.
cleanup surgery is what they're trying to tell us. But we're at the mercy of the news, though, because the news is not necessarily lining up, and it's coming from the same source, the tweet and the article. I would assume the article is correct and not the tweet, if I had to make a guesstimation. And most likely the clean out does coincide with the knee anyway, so I think the article is correct. He had a knee cleanup surgery, and he's had issues before, and the ankle, I imagine if they had to go back into the ankle, it'd be a bigger deal. So I think that the knee cleanup being non-issue, they're saying, it is an issue. Everything's an issue. Whenever you go back into the knee, you create more, damage sometimes, or you're creating inflammation, or you're creating swelling. It's never good that you got to go in and clean up the knee. It's better than having like a, repair or something, no doubt about it. But going into the knee and cleaning it up, everyone, it's just a cleanup. AJ Brown has cleanup surgeries all the time. Don't be shocked if we find out, like most off seasons, that AJ Brown had a knee surgery in April. Like we're told that often. It's like, oh, by the way, AJ Brown had a knee cleanup 3 months ago. It's kind of like when Najee Harris had Liz Frank injury, and it's like, oh, really? Okay, thanks for telling us months later. But we have no idea, bro. All we know is one thing: Egbuka is gonna cook.
Let him cook.
So if I give you $50, I say like Godwin can go.
If you give me what?
Have a good year, as good as. If I give you like a $50 holler, you can put this prediction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You could say, okay, Godwin will have a better year this year than Rashee Rice.
I think that would be a contender to win if you get that correct. Sure. Better year than Rice. I mean, yeah. I
got to think about this one. I want to
craft it.
I can't let this Godwin thing mess with me too much. Okay.
Hey man,
I've been trying to figure out a good one to put up.
Well, whenever you're ready, drop it. I'll put it on the board. Who is this, by the way?
Nick from Baltimore.
Nick from Baltimore. Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna change my YouTube name, I think.
Okay. Well, Nick, think about it,
so,
and then come strong with the $50 holler when you're ready. But no pressure. All right, later, bro.
All right, yeah.
All right, call back if you got another one. Travis, you're live.
Hey,
Yo.
I think I don't know if that last caller was, but I've seen a lot of Godwin dynasty owners in a little bit of denial right now.
Yeah.
Which is understandable because Godwin believers are very high on Godwin.
He's a bit
They're very confident.
like Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson, Godwin, Michael Pittman Jr. And in some ways, I get
Tyreek Hill this year.
Waddle, Jalen Waddle. Well, I'm more so thinking
Waddle,
about those
yep.
secondary receivers that they just dream are going to become
Yeah.
the number one, and it never happens. Pittman Jr. He's so good to be so good. You're going to pay for this one, Smitty. You're going to look so stupid when Michael Pittman Jr. is a top 10 wide receiver. I've crapped on Pittman every year. Don't believe it. Look, what's Pittman doing? And then Deontay and Waddle. Like, how many times do we got to go through this song and dance? When you're a number 2 for a team, you have only so much upside. Unless you believe that this number 2 could turn into the number 1, then, like in the case of Travis Hunter, I think that, and I don't think that BT's got to go down in value. I just think Travis Hunter, especially with some of his ability to be like a wide back in a Liam Cohen offense, they can coexist as number 1s. There are very few situations like that, but those guys are both equal in talent. Godwin is not Mike Evans. Never has been. Probably still couldn't be this year with Mike Evans, trailing off, but it's Egbuka's team for the future, not Godwin's. I don't care what kind of contract extension he signed. He's brittle. He's constantly having surgery and issues. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
So you said if if Egbuka was, either starting right from the beginning or, getting the targets right from the beginning because of Godwin catching up a little, you think he could be a top 12 wide receiver, right?
I want to be careful of how I frame. Let me get Godwin up the screen here. I want to be careful how I frame his sum total season, like points wise, and just say that anything can happen. I think because Evans is there and he'll start off like Evans will start off like normal. And I think Evans could even, like, if this is like a 10, this is a 0. Here's a graph. Here's week 17. Here's week 1. I think, this is a 9 or whatever. Like he'll be like an 8 or a 9 in terms of ability. Mike Evans, kind of like I always use the leaf blower that I have that's battery operated. It's so strong for like 5-6 minutes. I'm like, this thing's not gonna die. And then 7 minutes later, it just stop. I just think that at some point, I don't know that he'll break. And if he doesn't break, if Mike Evans doesn't break, he'll just tail off like that. And Egbuka, probably, I could even see him disappointing in week 1. I'm not saying he will, but we got to pump the brakes on always expecting these younger guys in complex situations to be as good as we want them to be in game 1. Like Jayden Blue, for example, might do very little for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And Jayden Blue wins leagues from week 7 on. And that's why Jayden Blue is a very, very likely waiver wire conversation in week 2, 3, 4, 5. Even though we want to say, Smitty, you've been talking Blue up. If it doesn't happen in week 1, what do we do with him? And I'm unfortunately going to have to repeat myself over and over and over and over. Chase Brown didn't do anything for week 1, 2, and 3. Chase Brown, remember that? Chase Brown, that looked like it was going to fall flat on its face. Smitty looks like a fool yelling Chase Brown all offseason long. Chase Brown? We yelled it all offseason long. He crapped an egg in week 1. He took another dump in week 2. Took another dump in week 3. And Chase Brown looked like he was going to completely bust. Week 4, boom. Chase Brown, welcome. Welcome to the show. So, Jayden Blue could do that. There's so many, and Egbuka could. Like, we don't know. I wish I could tell you I knew for certain. But either way, I think at some point during the year, Egbuka's like this, and then boom, Egbuka just starts playing like a baller. And then when we're in the off season, so we're talking about like March, we're talking about the top wide receiver being Emeka Egbuka. We're drafting this guy as the Buccaneer number 1 wide receiver. I don't really know how it's going to look. I wish I could, I could predict it and be, Doc Brown. I just don't. My DeLorean's broken right now. I'd probably say if I had to guess, he's going to be pretty active from week 1 on. I can't imagine how good he looks right now not delivering in week 1, 2, and 3. I just don't know if he'll be on his horse at that point. I think you're talking about a wide receiver 3 in Egbuka, and that's where you're drafting him. And if he was going to be a wide receiver 1 in week 1, I think he'd go higher than wide receiver 3 territory because we couldn't even sneak that by the industry. People would sniff it out a little better than this. So we're talking about expecting wide receiver 3 value. I think he can produce that in week 1. I can't guarantee it, but I think he can. And then this starts becoming more like wide receiver 2 in fantasy by like week 7, week 5, something like that. But I think at the end of the day, let me merge this call. I'm still talking to you, Travis. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to be something along the lines of a proration or prorating Emeka Egbuka's last 10 games like we always do with some of these young guys. And we're like, if you looked at his 10 games and extrapolated it out, it was wide receiver 11. Amazing. I think we're probably more likely for that scenario than to say at the end of the year, Emeka Egbuka is wide receiver 11. Probably not as likely. Possible, but probably not as likely. It's more likely his last games is wide receiver 11. If that makes sense. If everybody else can mute, somebody just went on the phone line. Travis, anything else before I travel around the phone line real quick?
No, go around.
All right, let me go over to Bruce, who's been waiting patiently, then the 323 caller, then to Big T. But if everybody can mute but Bruce, I'd appreciate it. Hello?
Hey, Smitty.
Hello? What's up, Bruce?
Hello. Hey, I got a question for
Okay.
you. How much do you think this is going to affect Egbuka's ADP?
I don't know anybody's reporting it, so 0. We're the only ones talking about it.
0?
I don't see anything yet. Unless since I've been live, someone has retweeted it and it started to catch a little fire. I mean, it came from ESPN or it came from an ESPN writer, but not from like the ESPN account. So I don't know that it will for sure catch fire. I don't know that. I'm sure people will be talking about it really soon. I don't know why no one is, but it is kind of, wild that no one's saying anything about it yet. I don't really see it anywhere. I saw it by one ESPN writer, and then the article is up on ESPN.com. But that's it. No one's talking about it. This may go completely under the radar. That it's just treated as, oh, he had surgery. We already know that. He had his ankle surgery. He's fine. I mean, he had 2 surgeries. 2 surgeries now in the offseason, not one.
And then,
so it's a problem.
If it does catch fire, I'm just asking, what would be your line in the sand? Like, how high would you go for Egbuka?
I don't know that he could climb out of my radar. I detect him.
Okay.
I think that he probably could not climb so high that it would be a problem. I can't envision that. Even if Godwin, let's say, re-injured himself and was out for half a year, Egbuka would climb, but Ted McMillan goes in round 3-4, which is ridiculous in league losing. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but that's insane. To take him in some cases as your late 3rd drafted player, I don't think Egbuka even gets near that. I think he does climb into, if Godwin was and Godwin's not re-injured, it's just he's on the PUP right now, probably doesn't play the first 4 weeks. I would probably say, as we get closer to the year and people will realize that is not just a projection, but it's actually a reality, that he's not playing the first 4 weeks. Once it's official that Godwin is missing the first 4 weeks of football for his ankle, this is not considering the knee. I think Egbuka climbs probably into the elite high-end wide receiver 3, but wouldn't shock me if he was in like the Debo 6th-round territory. Maybe earlier. And he's kind of there now in some formats, but like late 5, top of 6. I mean, that's where I think Egbuka deserves to live right now. But you tend to get him a lot later. Let me hold on real quick, Bruce. Let me just get these super chats handled. Travis D says, made a bet with a league mate that Harvey will outscore Caleb Johnson this year. Easy money. Anything can happen, when coaches are involved in making decisions on both sides of this thing. But I would definitely take Harvey, obviously, because I think Harvey's a league winner in redraft, let alone a gem of a dynasty player. So I, of course, would take that myself. Grade the grade. Trade away Goff. Grade the trade, I think is what you mean. Trade away Goff, 2.6, 3.7, and 1.8 Egbuka. For Egbuka, 1.8 and 4.6 and 5.5. Goff, 2.6. I assume this is a 1 QB because you didn't say. I would say, I don't care about it. This is a great trade. If it was a Superflex trade, I still don't mind it as long as Goff wasn't your QB2, which I'm not saying I don't want Egbuka quietly more than Goff, even in Superflex, but I would be able to trade Goff and upgrade him into Fields or Knicks or Mahomes somehow creatively. And then I wouldn't have really made the Goff trade, I suppose. But if it's 1 QB, I could care less about Goff, and this is a home run and a smash. So great trade. I'd say 10 out of 10 if that's a 1 QB. Andy, appreciate your super chat, my boy. He says Egbuka is going to be special, and it's a $10 hauler to boot. So you get a Mars shot, my boy. And the rest of this question, Baker has given him high praise. Evans tailing off is going to be huge for him, and the fact that he's literally been a rover all over the place. This is like that firefighter that goes from house to house. He never has a home, but he can do everything. He goes to this firehouse one week. He goes to this firehouse the next week. He's just a rover. That's what Egbuka's been. He's like a firefighter. And he goes and puts out flames here, puts out flames there. He can do it all. He's learned it all. And Egbuka's going to the moon. You were correct about that, Andy. Appreciate your super chat. All right, Bruce, one more question, and I'll put you on hold.
You can put me on hold because I forgot.
All right. You can gather your thoughts. Mute yourself real quickly, young man. Let me go over to the 323 caller. It looks like Big T hung up. So 323, it's all you. You're live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Morgan. I'm a first-time caller.
Attaboy, Morgan. Attaboy. Attaboy.
Okay. Because you're live, I've had Egbuka everywhere. I love it. I'm so excited.
Good. You should be proud of yourself and excited at the same time. Egbuka is gonna. I mean, he's cheap, man. Like everywhere you have him, you didn't even pay a big price. So like, even if he failed, it wouldn't even hurt you. But yeah, he's going to the moon, bro.
Oh, cheapest I had was like most expensive was 1.8. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
So the other day you were talking weekly winners. Rashid Rice, he's gold at like the 4th round because he's going to sit some games, but weekly winners, genius. So I had this idea. I was watching your running back mid-season monster video from yesterday or earlier today. What do you think about weekly winners drafting 0 RB and then waiting until the 12th, 13th round and just hitting all your mid-season monsters? So you're basically punting the first few weeks, but then you could be cashing in by your first running back.
So
like
I think about this a lot too. But what ends up happening? Hold on, let me merge this call. I think about this a lot. But what ends up happening is in weekly winners, and I'm not saying you can't find the next Bucky and take those shots at wide receiver too, like the next Puka or whatever. But you tend to get these, you have your lineup, okay? So you have your RB1, your RB2, your wide receiver 1, your wide receiver 2. And then I think the rest of your team that you have, you're just hoping to fill that. Well, actually, your wide receiver 3, you're hoping to fill that flex spot. I think it'd be fun to try, and I have kind of done it. I've gone like hero RB and done it and just grabbed all the blues and Grendos and everything. And I love it in weeklies. I love it. But I think at the end of the day, you're still probably going to win with the top guys you draft at each of those positions. So in a way, the way I do it traditionally is in a similar fashion, I'll draft my starting lineup and then I won't really touch my wide receivers and I'll just load up on, or unless it's in the wide receiver department, I'm trying this, but I'll load up on all those RBs, even with Bucky and let's say Kyren. Even with Bucky and Kyren, and let's say I got Rice and I have in round 1 I got Lamb. So I got Rice, Lamb, Bucky, Kyren, and I got a good team. It's well-rounded anyway, and then I just load up on those RBs for the flex spot to just hit a home run. I think you're probably a lot more likely to win by having that well-rounded lineup, because any weekly winner team that's called back into the show, we've had like 4 people win that 20K that watch this channel. They've always had like a killer lineup, and it's really always been their starters that they drafted that are in the lineup when they've won. I'm not saying you can't win. If you drafted Bucky and Puka or Kyren and Puka that year, then you probably could do what you're saying. Try all different ways. It's a $10 contest, but in general, I would say you can do a bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. Thanks for everything you're doing. Appreciate it.
Yeah, bro, appreciate you. I think one of my favorite teams like in weeklies would be, let's say you go Bijan. It's very similar to what he's saying. You go Bijan, and then let's say you get London, which you can get that. That combo is not crazy. London's been falling to like 18 and 19 right now. So you get Bijan, London. Let's say your third player you draft is Garrett Wilson. And then you get Rice in the next round because he goes in 4. In weeklies, he's going in 4 too, which is crazy because no one's like accounting for that. Who cares if he's out the first part of the season? It's weird how weeklies ADP can be sometimes. And then let's say you get, I've seen Burrow fall here. In weeklies, he goes a little higher, but he is capable. And then you just keep stacking this, this lineup that has just the one RB, your hero RB. And then you've got Blue later. I'm not saying next. Garendo, again, not next. Ray Davis. And I don't even care about the wide receivers. If I've got London, Garrett Wilson, and Rice, I literally am not. I might draft one or two backup wide receivers. I might even get like Royals. I might even get who knows. But I want to have some backup in case like Garrett Wilson went down the whole year. I could still try and win with the lineup. But for the most part, I'm banking on these three receivers and never worrying about a lineup that doesn't have them as the top three. And then I just crush Blue, Garendo, Davis, Benson. Benson's a great player to have in this territory. You just smash the hell, and I've had like 10 or like 8 running backs. 8 or 9. I've had like 8 or 9 running backs before in a weeklies. So I think very similar to you, but I do love pairing it with one anchor running back. All right, let me go around the phone line back over to, this 443 caller. You're live.
Hey, what's up, Smitty? It's Nick again. I had a question about the Patreon and your other Dynasty content. Could you advise me where I should be putting my budget towards, as far as if I'm looking a rookie draft or in a startup or for Dynasty?
I mean, I have my thefantasyfootballshow.com, which is the rankings, the bold predictions, the trade calculators, the articles, everything, and it is very see the green side is the Dynasty, the blue side is the redraft. So the site's kind of divided in an easy to understand way. Trade calculator, obviously I have trade calculator for both sides, rankings for days, all these sets of rankings. I mean, I think that this is a good place to go to get your stuff, and it's not just for pre-draft, it's even better kind of during the year. And then the Patreon's amazing. It's just year round, 365, 24/7 live chatting with the community. And it's not all about me. Like you don't just go in there and go, hey, Smitty, answer this question. Hey, Smitty, answer this question. It's about the chat. And I try and stop into pretty much every topic I can. So you can kind of count on me trying to circle around. Sometimes it takes me half a day to get through some of the messages. So each topic has, sub convo going underneath it, it's nested. So you ask your question, hey, here's my team, and then you can put additional graphics and stuff in there, and then I'll be in there at some point probably, but it's not about me answering, it's about the community. But this is pretty awesome, bro. $10 a month, cancel anytime, and on game days we're all piled into the game day lounge. Just I've somebody that's in it that works on Sundays. They can't watch the games, and they just have this game day lounge open, and they just read all the plays that are going off because they don't have to get the red zone or anything. They're just literally, it's like, Bijan, 10-yard run. Achan, they called back his touchdown. Achan scored again. And you can just read it all. It's like play by play, and everyone's just piled in here. And if anybody wants to join, that link is always going to be in the description of the videos if you're ever looking for it later. But it is right here as well. I just dropped it. And it's also just patreon.com, my channel name, The Fantasy Football Show. So patreon.com/The Fantasy Football Show. But it's always in the description of videos. I mean, honestly, bro, I don't know how to tell you to pick one of those if you had to pick one, because they're both valuable. But hey, get a lifetime membership, and maybe I'll swing you a Patreon deal. You can DM me after, but it's up to you. All right, bro. Anything else?
Yeah, I did actually. I'm in a rookie draft right now. I've got the 2-1, and Jackson Dart, Luther Burden, Trey Harris are here, and Jayden Higgins and Milroe are further down. I can probably swing and get Milroe later. I'm at the 2-6 as well. What are you thinking as far as that pick goes? Because Jackson Dart really looks attractive to me now, and Trey Harris. I mean, Burden's going to be a stud, but he's got a while to wait.
I don't even know. I like Burden. I hope Burden can be a stud. I don't know that he can. I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like, to be honest with you, bro. I wish I felt really confident in Luther Burden. The problem is he's tied to not only Caleb Williams, but he's tied to Ryan Poles. He's tied to the team. I think Trey Harris is the pick. Now, I will say, like, there's a lot of Quentin Johnston buzz right now in camp, but like, I'm not falling for that again. Like, yeah, no, I don't think anybody should fall for that. I didn't fall for it last year either. The guy's a body catcher. But Trey Harris is really, really, and he looks good today too. I would say Trey Harris by a mile. I'm just not a Jackson Dart guy, bro.
You know that?
I'm just not.
Yeah, and I agree with you about the Trey Harris pick. I just need your confirmation about it. I really feel like he could turn into somebody like Jordan Addison plus because, without all the boneheadedness,
I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and there's still an upcoming video on this, so I'm not going to ruin it, but there's a world where he's better than Ladd McConkey. I'm not saying that that's happening right away. I'm not saying that he takes over all year long like that. I just think that we assume that Ladd McConkey is the best player on this team when he was the only thing they had last year, and he's really good. But it's kind of like I'm trying to think of the right example. It's kind of like Tank Dell and then Nico. Everybody didn't want to accept that Nico was going to be better than Tank Dell when Tank Dell was popping off, and then Nico became better, and then the acceptance of it happened. Ladd's a very good player. Ladd's a very, very good player, but Harris has, I think, some intangibles that people are going to soon witness, and they're going to love this kid. This kid could climb to the freaking moon. And I'm not saying that Ladd vanishes or disappears. There's definitely a world where they're both really, really good. But I think that this guy could be amazing. Could be amazing. We'll have to see. It might not happen overnight.
Yeah, do you think I should...
What?
Do you think I should make my bold prediction Trey Harris outscores Jordan Addison? Because I'm about to make it.
I don't think that's going to be bold. I don't think anybody cares about that. Addison's going to get suspended, bro.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, how about Harris over Ladd? I mean, that would win. That would win. That would win. I'm just telling you, that would win.
No, you can't get me on that one.
No, I'm not trying to get you on anything. I'm just saying.
I like Ladd so much, man. Ladd is such a good receiver, man.
He is. I like Ladd a lot. I like Ladd a lot, but Ladd, there is. I mean, you could say I try to be very careful on this because it's not ready yet. Harris is not ready yet. It's going to take him a little bit of time. Especially living in a Harbaugh offense, it's hard to know what the divide's going to be. Does he get screwed at opportunities? It really is hard to know. But Harris, with Mike Williams retiring, he should have plenty of opportunity. But, I mean, T. Higgins was the number one on the Bengals roster. And I'm not trying to say that Harris is Jamar Chase. What I'm trying to emphasize is that Ladd is kind of T. Higgins pre any other player being on the roster. T. Higgins, if you remember back when T. Higgins was the only guy on the Bengals roster, they're like, we don't need to draft a wide receiver. Take Penei Sewell, offensive line. We got to protect Joe Burrow. We don't need a wide receiver. T. Higgins is the number one. And I think that's Ladd. I think Ladd is looking like a one, playing like a one. He's great. He's a good player. But to suggest that he couldn't be overtaken, I think is a little too premature for me. Love him, just like T. Higgins is a great player.
Yeah.
But everyone assuming that Ladd McConkey is some sort of top 5 wide receiver, I think he could be like T. Higgins, live in the 12 to 15 wide receiver range very, very easily. That's a good wide receiver. That's what Ladd to me is. That's where Ladd should be living right now, in my opinion, given there are a lot of mouths to feed in this passing attack in LAC. And I think Ladd is very T. Higgins-like, which is a very respectable thing. All right, I got to go, bro. And this won't be popular because there are a lot of Ladd people out there, and they think Ladd is like...
So, before I make this pick for Trey Harris, I just wanted to say maybe Keenan Allen comes back to the Chargers, and it's making me worried about that.
He could.
What do you think about Jackson Dart?
I just don't like him. But who are your quarterbacks?
Well, Ward and the Knicks. Yeah, next.
I mean, I'm not that you should ever not try and get more quarterbacks, but I'd rather have Harris and Milroe than go Jackson Dart here and then be pressured to not go Milroe later because you're trying to grab other positions. And then at the end of the day, I'd rather have Harrison. All right.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
I like
Look
it,
at Joe Milton if he's out there too. All right. Later, bro.
Oh, yeah, man.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Go ahead, Travis.
If you want to get the super chat?
Yeah. Let's see here. We got a couple here. I know people are not going to like the lad take. They're just not. I mean, there's so many just hell bent on Lad being a top 5 wide receiver. They're not gonna.
Yeah, there's a Lad cult.
Yeah, it's
like I like Lad, so I'm not saying they're wrong
great.
necessarily, but they're very protective.
Yeah, very, very protective is the right word. Like to suggest that he's T. Higgins is like an insult. They're like, how dare you? But T. Higgins is going 25 overall on Best Ball Mania. Like 25 overall. So T. Higgins is getting mad respect. I don't think it's crazy to call Lad T. Higgins. I don't think it's crazy at all. I think T. Higgins could have survived as the number 1 in Cincinnati. He would have been on the lower end of the top 12 wide receivers in the league, but he would have survived as like a 10, 11, 12 wide receiver 1 in the league. And I just think Trey Harris, if Lad wasn't there, you'd be having people say this is the next Lad McConkey player because there's no other player there. Trey Harris has got some intangibles. We talked about last night. Travis made a good comp, which is Nico. I think he's certainly got Nico skill set. Very, very, very much love everything about Trey Harris. Traded Egbuka for Pearsall, Scatterbo, and Keon Coleman. I would not have done that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not Smitty disapproving you, but I'm Smitty disapproving your trade.
You've just been Smitty disapproving.
Yeah, that's not official. I would not have done that trade. Egbuka for Pearsall. Pearsall is okay. Keon Coleman, none of these. I love Scatterbo. They're all good players, but Egbuka's the one guy there that you want.
Well, quality over quantity.
Yeah. You aren't buying Egbuka for the second half of the season when Evans breaks down. Whatever you get from him early season, or you are buying. Whatever you get from him early in the season is a bonus. He is a plug-and-play NFL-ready wide receiver with monster PPR appeal. The thing about Egbuka is like he plays like a kick returner. Think of like Debo in a sense, and I don't think they're the same size or really play. When defenders try and tackle Egbuka is different than when defenders try and tackle Debo. And Egbuka is fast and speedy and knifes through the defenders and tries to cut it up. Whereas Debo is knocking people over. So completely different delivery system of the playing style. But Debo is when he catches the ball, he turns into a running back or a kick returner. And that's such a good quality to have in a player like Egbuka because he navigates the zones that are all over the field. And he decides, kind of like Kenneth Walker, when we invented the Moon Man Mars Man, it was all about space monsters. And the reason space became the Moon Man Mars Man, if anybody wants to know, is because of the navigation of different spaces on the field. So we talk about like Kenneth Walker, he'd turn and Kenneth Walker would do some sort of calculation and be like, my most available territory of space is right here. I'm going to go that way. And then when he enters that plane, he then looks around and he has more available space that way. And he moves his body down the field like that. That's why Kenneth Walker is such a space monster. And then he became a spaceman. The same thing about Egbuka. He knows how, unlike Debo, even though he turns into like a running back kick returner, he looks at the field and like Kenneth Walker, he's like, there's my space. I'm just going to slip through there. And if I get through there, where's my next territory to slip through? And he's so good at contact. When he gets hit, he's amazing at contact. Unlike Tet McMillan, who could learn it, not saying he can't, but Tet McMillan gets shut down when he gets hands put on him a lot of the time, especially at the line of scrimmage. He's a little better over the middle of the field, but when Egbuka invites contact, which is the difference between a lot of young receivers and Egbuka. And Egbuka, again, was thrown to the wolves in college. He's constantly playing with the most fierce competition. Wasn't really sold on blue, but living in Austin area with some UT team connections, decided to look into blue. I was told time and time again, underrated. He will surprise with high upside. And this whole lazy thing, I love it. Just hope people keep spreading the narrative. And then Dynasty 12-team PPR, Superflex, 0.5, tight end premium. Which side? Achane, Harvey, Hendy, Adams. Guys for counter. AJ Brown. Okay, so what is the trade? Achane. Oh, side B. Harvey, Hendy, Adams. Achane, Harvey, Hendy, Adams. Too much. I love Achane, but Harvey and Hendy and Adams is a lot. Counter. I mean, like, Travis, in a dynasty, I mean, even if you're kind of in the middle of win now and not win now, Achane for like Harvey and Adams or Achane for Hendy and Adams. I mean, I don't know. Adams does long, but like it's so hard to even do two for.
Is it just for?
I do it for Achane, but
is it just for?
What?
So it's for just one of Harvey or Hendy, or for both?
It looks like he's in this case he'd be getting Harvey, he'd be getting Achane, and he'd be giving up Harvey, Hendy, and Adams, and I think that's too much. But I don't know if he would do just one running back with Adams. However, I think, it's hard to even say like what you should be doing. That's a lot to give up regardless for 1 year mindset, Adams and even like a Hendy versus Achane. But I probably would. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, Hendy and Harvey, they're just starting their careers, man. I mean, Achane I love, and I definitely rather have Achane than one of them straight up. But you start throwing other things in it just gets complicated. Adams has got such a short shelf life, though. I think I could do Adams and Harvey for Achane. I could probably do Adams and Hendy for Achane. You're still giving up a lot. The person getting this, they could win a league off of this move if Adams ends up being a top 5 to 7 or top 8 wide receiver. And I don't think he plays more than the 1 year, but you never know. Adams could. Would you give up Adams and Harvey for Achane and Adams and Hendy for Achane, 2 for 1?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, unless I was in like a complete rebuild, yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably would. There's only rare scenarios I would want to have Hendy, Harvey, one of those guys, and Adams, like if I could win a bunch of cash money. But I think at the end of the day, I probably just want to get Achane on the roster. But there, Hendy could be a top 5 running back. He's great. Harvey could be a top 5 to 7 running back. He's great. I mean, they're both fantastic. But I'd take Achane. As far as a counter, guys for a counter, I can move. None
of those guys are as good as what he has in there.
Yeah, I don't know. You might have to rephrase the trade with a couple different like trade ideas because it's hard to even know where are those players on his team, your team. Just construct a couple different versions and we'll start tweaking it. But I think giving up all 3 and Adams is too much. I'm sorry, both running backs and Adams is too much. And if you're getting that, that's the weird part is even when you're getting that, it almost like I almost want to answer differently. I don't love getting rid of Achane, I'll tell you that. But I think I would take Hendy, Harvey, and Adams. You have to. Especially if you can win money with Adams. Let me merge Rock Out in real quick. Hold on. Rock Out, what can I do for you, pal? You're live, Rock Out.
Hello? Yeah, what do you do when players get pushed up and their ADP is like further down, but the players are pumped up?
I don't know what you mean.
Like say a player's like 1, 2, 3 on the board, but their ADP is like 15 spots down than where they are.
I still don't know what you mean. Travis, you know what he's saying?
No, because If he's at the top of the list, wouldn't his ADP be at the top of the list?
Not really falling.
Like the player might be like, say, top of the list.
Can you give me a name?
ADP doesn't matter.
Okay. So like, for example, like, say, Genty is still on the board and you're at pick 22. I know he won't ever fall that low, but I'm just using an extreme. Is that what you're saying? Obviously, it would be a worse player. Like, give us a better example.
BBQ.
Is that what you mean by it?
Just give me an example, Rockout, so I understand what you're talking about. BBQ, thanks for dropping the gifted memberships, you absolute straight savage and super chatting monster. And the Maverick is in the house. Think of a player example real quick, Rockout. A Dynasty trade, Jonathan Brooks and Dell. Come on, bro. Yeah, for Mason, go take Mason. I mean, look, Jonathan Brooks, I don't want on my team. If he got dropped, I wouldn't pick him up. And no offense to Tank Dell, but the team's moved on. And it sucks. It is what it is. But if Tank Dell got cut, I probably wouldn't pick him up. It depends on the depth of every roster and how big the rosters are. But like Jordan Mason, bro, that's a steal. That's like a lamb basting of a trade. Go get Jordan Mason, do it live. Dynasty trade T for Buka. I want to say you got to be smart here and try and figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish. If it's a rebuild, then go get Buka. If it's a win now, look, T. Higgins can ball, bro. I mean, he won Best Ball Mania almost single-handedly last year. So you have to be a little bit careful, but he does always finish outside the top like 12 wide receivers because he keeps getting hurt. So Dynasty-wise, Buka, win now even in Dynasty, but win now with big cash money on the line. T. Higgins is a tad safer. You know, like if you get T. Higgins numbers out of Buka this year as a rookie, you're gonna be really happy, and then you gotta then repeat it the next year. So, go ahead, Rock Out. What is your question? God, that clicking is awful.
Like, let's say if Harvey got like pushed up, but it'd be like early to take him.
I still don't know what you're saying though. If he got pushed up, that's where his ADP is, you know. But I guess what you're trying to say.
No, he got put.
You're on the clock, and people have been reaching like madmen. Is that what you're trying to say? And
yeah.
Okay, so what pick are we at, and what player? We're at 3 point or whatever.
Say like fourth round with like Harvey, and he got pushed up to like the third for whatever reason.
Okay, so let's say we're at 4.4 and the running backs are flying off the board. You're asking me, should I pull the trigger on Harvey early? I guess it depends on what my running backs look like. Do I need this back really badly? And do I think because of the forcing of RBs up the board that the wide receivers are now available where they shouldn't be? Then I know at the the 5th round pick, I'll probably have a player that I shouldn't have, and I should be able to make up that difference. So I'm fine with taking Harvey in that scenario, I suppose, but I don't want anybody to think I'm condoning taking Harvey in the 4th round. He goes in the round 5 territory right now. But I certainly don't want you having no RBs. And, you know, the 4th round value of, let's say, MHJ or JSN, someone like that would have to be down here in the 5th round for this to be the case. Where if Harvey's pushed up and his ADP, not the platform, but his ADP shows that he's a 5.5 pick, but he's the top running back available at 4.4, then something went crazy with the wide receivers, and you should be able to do the reverse of that. But I don't know. I'd have to see the scenario, but just make sure it's not like you just seeing different ADP data across different platforms, and you're making the assumption that the value's off when it's really the ADP. Like that's where he's going on this platform. So be careful not to overdraft somebody. Thank you, BBQ, for the super chats. Everybody thank BBQ if you got one for BBQ. All right, let me go back over to Bruce real quick. Bruce, what else you got? Final thoughts, my boy?
My question is on, first off, it was a great show. It's always a great show. My question is on Isaiah Bond.
Yeah.
Now, this came out. It was bad news. Really bad news. Do you think eventually that's finally going to get settled soon now that actually came out? The other case?
No, I think this got worse today, unfortunately. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." No, it's bad news. This is horrible news for Bond. Yeah.
Yeah, because I seen it and I was like, "Oh man, this is good."
I thought it was. I initially posted in the Patreon. Look, we got news on Bond. Oh, it's bad news on Bond. It's bad news on Bond. Bond's defamation case got thrown out. It got dismissed, which means that he didn't have good evidence that this thing was like fabricated and it was defamation and it ruined his draft stock. It's like a legitimate case according to the DA. So it's not going in a good direction. So we'll have to see, what happens next. But I mean, no team's going to touch him now. And this news today, just so everyone's very aware. But the Browns might do Browns type things because the Browns are that kind of organization. But this news right here on Bond getting his countersuit, essentially defamation. He wanted to go after the accuser. And it could have been thrown out for other reasons. Like we could have one of our attorneys on here to talk about this. It could be one of those things where it's like I don't want to say it's a conflict, but it's kind of hard to go after defamation when the case hasn't been proven to be fictitious or not. You know what I mean? So it could be that the judge is like, look, we don't know if this is defamation yet. We have to let it play out. If then the DA drops all charges because this looks like it was completely fabricated, maybe he can refile or something. Like there's legal details that might, but this isn't good, and his perception's reality. And NFL teams are going to go, oh, got thrown out. Guess we're not going near that. So this is bad news for Judkins. The Browns might do Browns things. We don't know. But the Browns probably are looking at this thing and they're going, oh boy, we can't, he's not getting picked up by anybody. Judkins isn't going to get his contract anytime soon. So hang tight on this again. This Bond situation. I still don't think he's guilty, until proven innocent. This doesn't prove that. It's just not a good perception to have. Oh, he missed on this one. Guess he doesn't have if the DA or anybody else, still thinks that this has got to move forward. That's that's a bad looks for him. So just, it's hard to kind of say like, oh, the case that person's bringing before you right now, I want to sue them for that. And it's like, bro, you're still doing it. They're still playing it out. Like, how do we judge on that? All right, man.
I got one more
go
question.
ahead.
One more. With the Seahawks releasing Noah Fant, what do you think this does for Arroyo?
We love Arroyo to the moon. And the best part about, and like we said the other day, Milroe rising up with Arroyo, and they're throwing together, they're practicing together, they're linked together. When Milroe goes up, he's probably bringing Arroyo with him. And so this is a great rapport they're building. This is how sometimes the foundation between a great connection is founded, from the bench together. So Arroyo and Milroe, they're constantly working together. There's been some unbelievably beautiful throws from Milroe to Arroyo in practice, but it all is practice. You gotta pump the brakes and getting overly excited. Like, everyone's posting all these catches, like, all day today. It's like, oh my God, Quentin Johnson looks so amazing. He's playing on an elite level and he's catching the ball. Like, if you run down the field and don't catch the ball, you should be cut. So then again, I see Worthy using some speed and catching a lame, like a duck wobbling throw by Mahomes. And I'm like, look at that beautiful connection. So it is a day full of bias, but I think it's pretty easy to cut through the noise if you can. And you see stuff like Quentin Johnson where he's a constant failure and you're just like, look, I'm not going to buy this again. Also, keep in mind how good Keon Coleman looked last offseason. Not a wide receiver looked better than Keon Coleman, a rookie wide receiver, than Keon Coleman last offseason. And he did absolutely nothing. I'm hopeful, but right. It is what it is. All right. Later, bro.
All right. Talk to you later.
Rock out. Final thoughts.
What spot would you want to take a shot on Ridley?
I don't know. I think his ADP seems to be around. It's not bad ADP. We went over it before on another show, and the players around him aren't like glaringly better. I think there's some cross position maneuvers that I find myself doing more, which is why I don't draft a lot of Ridley. But Ridley, for example, is going at number 56 overall. And that's an acceptable territory, but it's climbing. And so I'm starting to kind of, I don't want to say fade Ridley. Where's my Ridley graphic? Oh, Ridley! What? What?
And where's Sutton?
Yeah.
Where is Sutton?
Let me read off the ADP. So Ridley's going around, what did I say? 56. So here's the problem. ADP. It's not bad. It's not horrible. But you got players like Hunter who are 2 spots above him. So Hunter is ADP, overall ADP. This is not just wide receiver ADP. Overall, he is 54. So there's definitely going to be overlap on certain drafts. And so I'm taking Hunter 9,000 times out of 9,000 over Ridley. That's just my style. I just like Hunter more. Pickens is up higher. We're not going to go Pickens route. Down below Ridley, you have a Dunze 1 spot. You have a Olave 2 spots. You have Jennings 3 spots. You have Addison, Godwin, Judy. And then what we ended up saying the other night was Debo. Debo is one of the biggest steals in fantasy football 2025. His ADP is 70.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to draft him instead of Ridley in that draft slot that we're talking about. Because even though it's a kind of a reach, I still feel like Debo in that 6th round territory is a smash, and I'm not really taking Ridley in 5, so it would have to be in 6 anyway. Debo, I'm not taking Ridley over Debo ever. So there's one kind of problem, and Debo, because ADP's discrepancy so far apart, I never find myself wavering on that. And then if we go to RBs and we look at the 50s, we're talking about Hampton at 40, so pretty close to the ADP of Ridley at 56. This is Ridley. So sometimes there's overlap there. Harvey's at 62. I'm taking Harvey over Ridley every time at 62. And you can just kind of find like more spots, man. And then quarterback, I mean, damn, Burrow 60. Is anybody taking Ridley over Burrow? If you don't have a quarterback, I just can't see it. So there's like tons of reasons why. It's not that I don't like him. He's always been super talented. He actually didn't do that bad last year. Something Travis brings up a lot. Like, we look at his numbers and it's like, well, his numbers weren't that bad. It's just, I don't know. I can't find myself,
You're right about Ridley, though, where he's one of those guys that it's hard to know what games to start him. He'll have a huge game, and then he'll disappear. So There's inconsistency.
I mean, those names, Burrow, Hunter, Debo, Harvey, you're almost guaranteed to have 1 or 2, if not 3 of those guys every time you're making this decision to draft Ridley or not. So I just can't do it. If he fell a little further, if he went after those guys, I could see myself getting Ridley, not every time, but occasionally. But I can't draft him over those guys. And he had a good year last year. I mean, he was 64. Ridley had 64 receptions for 10, 17, and 4. I mean, that's not a world star year, but that's a good year with a bunch of crap quarterback play. I mean, Cam Ward should be able to get this to, if he stays healthy, like 75, 1,100, and probably like 6 to 7. I think that I would say that everything goes right. I wouldn't put that as his floor, but I think that you could get that out of him. And honestly, some of the players that I'm giving you, if they got those numbers, I'd be ecstatic over it. So there's an argument to be made that I'm not drafting enough Ridley. But I don't know.
And where was Sutton at?
What?
Where was Sutton at?
Also, Ziggy, how old is Calvin Ridley?
29, 28.
No, he's 30. He turns 31 in December. Ziggy, volume 10.
Okay.
31 in December. I mean, he's playing his 30-year-old season. It's certainly possible he plays. And I know everyone's going to say, but he took time off, but it doesn't always mean you get more time. Your body's your body. At 30 years old, things start happening. So there's an increased risk, attached to Ridley this year. Regardless of how his situation's gotten better, he has more risk this year than he did last year for getting hurt. As far as Courtland Sutton, I think he goes a lot higher, bro. We're talking like 48, which is, it's within 10 spots, but it's, it's up there a ways. I think what's crazy is the difference of, so you have Ridley, then above Ridley of Flowers, Hunter, Waddle, Pickens, Devontae Smith, then Courtland Sutton, and J-Mo and DK. So it's pretty a lot of players in between, even though it seems like it's not. That's a stretch of where a lot of wide receivers go, especially in best ball. And so I'm usually going running back there, Joe Burrow, something like that. All right, we'll see you later, Rock Out. Calling tonight. We'll be back for the Graveyard Show, bro.
All right, see you.
Later. Indy Joe, as quick as you can, Indy Joe.
Yeah, real quick. I just got 4 players. I want you to rank them as far as who you think is going to have the best season. I got JSN, MHJ, Higgins, and Evans. Mike Evans.
MHJ, JSN, Higgins, and Mike Evans.
No, not Higgins.
Pickens. Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Man, I'd probably still put Evans for redraft over Pickens, I think. Maybe. This one's volatile. The wind's blowing a certain way. I could go either way. But this is a tier break here. And MHJ for me for now. But if, let's say Darnold started looking really good or something, I could easily flip this. Or let's say Milroe is in, I think Milroe could, looking so good that we're just literally going, this is going to last a week and then Milroe's in there. This could flip at any moment. It really could. It's a tier break. They're both fantastic. I find myself taking MHJ. The guy had 8 touchdowns and around 900 yards in a very disappointing year where he's bulked up in the offseason and everybody thinks he's going to take a big step forward inside that organization, and I believe that too. I've been preaching that. I think MHJ, we weren't wrong about him. He's one of the best prospects to come out of college at the wide receiver position. I do not think we were wrong about that. I think that everybody progresses a little differently, and Kyler's not so bad when he found him 8 times in the end zone. So I'm going to say MHJ, JSN, but Evans Pickens is tough. I want to say Pickens, but changing teams is an adjustment for players, and they sometimes, and even today, there was and it's just one route, but there was a route run where Dak threw the ball and it just landed by itself and there was no player nearby and it was a Pickens route and they're like, Dak and Pickens aren't connecting real well today as they're getting to know each other. And not to say that should guide anything, but there is some concern that it could be up and down at first or something like that. Evans is 1,000 yards, 6 to 7 touchdown guy, probably barely 1,000 yards, but that's, I think I'd take that.
So for Evans, when does his age come into effect?
Now.
For you.
Yeah. When's opening day? I mean, bro, it's a factor now. It's just Pickens is, the number 2 on his team. Evans is the number 1 on the team right now. I'm not saying Egbuka walks into week 1 as the number 1. I think there's a transition that happens, but Evans is the number 1 on his team, and it's a high-octane passing attack. Pickens is number 2 on his team in a high-octane passing attack. I just think you're smarter to take Evans. Now, Dynasty, I don't want Evans over Pickens, but in redraft, I do. Barely.
Right.
Based on the wins. The wins could change.
Yep.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Later. 832, what's your name? Where are you calling from? As quickly as you can, pal.
Hey, this is Gabe. I'm from Houston.
What's up, Gabe?
Just a quick question. Just real quick, we have a keeper league. I'm trying to get an idea. Am I going to be crazy for taking Hampton as my RB1 if I have Puka and Nico as my 2 keeper receivers? And then that third round, usually, because Kyren's not going to be there.
Nope.
Somebody has him.
No.
Just take Hampton. Just forget about, like, pass up Jacobs, pass up Taylor. Just take Hampton. Just let it ride.
I would if there's keeper value involved in this. Like Hampton could be a keeper for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then yeah, if there's keeper value involved, then Hampton, soars up that group of RBs for sure. If you couldn't keep this player,
right,
then you got to kind of weigh it all out. But look, Hampton to me as a third player on your team, so like third round equivalent type value, we're talking in a keeper format, that is fine.
Right.
That is just fine. And then I'm not scared to get Harvey or Hendy next. Hendy's fine. Hunter, Travis Hunter next. I'm not scared of that at all.
Right. Okay. So just don't overthink it. Like, I've been worried about it, that ADP. Like, do I just take Breece Hall because Breece Hall is on the board? That's open players available.
You know what?
I'm like, man, I really want.
You know what probably happened? Just to kind of map this out, and I think you could probably say I can picture this, Smitty. Is you wait because ADP scares you and you don't want to get laughed at or whatever, and then 2 picks after you make the JT pick, someone takes Hampton and people are like, nice pick, and you're like, son of a bitch. No. And everyone's like, great pick, Steven, you grabbed Hampton. And you're like thinking that if you'd taken Hampton 2 picks earlier, you're going to be laughed at, and maybe they do laugh, but who cares, bro? Hampton's a third rounder in a keeper format. That's fine.
Okay. Don't overthink it. Just take him, and he's starting over Najee anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know that they're starting him over Najee yet. That's an assumption people are making because Najee's turning into a pirate. But we don't know. We have no idea. We have no idea. What we do know is that it's Hampton's team eventually, and while it's not, he still might be a 80 total yard player, every game. We don't really know. And Herbert talked him up like mad today. I think I even have a quote right here. Yeah, I think I have a quote here from Herbs. It says he's everything you want in a running back, and he kind of went on and on. Although none of this really matters because you ask him about the third string running back, he'd probably say he's doing great. He's everything you'd want in a third string running back. But we know that Hampton's got the ability, bro. All right, appreciate you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's totally the way it goes. When you're in a draft and you're like, I shouldn't take him here. I don't know, and then somebody else grabs him. Now, don't be surprised if everybody laughs at you for taking Hampton either, though. But don't worry about it. Like, they're like, oh, you're taking a guy who's not even the starter. You just be like, oh, poor me. We'll see what happens. Mid-season, I'll send you a message, Bobby boy. Yeah. Travis, anything else before we go? And then we'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, midnight Eastern.
Yeah, Charles had a trade question here. So with the Superflex, he's kind of in rebuild mode. He has CD Lamb and Lab, but I guess he must be rebuilding. Even so, the trade would be Josh Allen, and he'd get Justin Fields, Travis Hunter, and Ted McMillan.
Superflex, man, and Tet.
Yeah.
So Tet, Fields, Hunter for Josh Allen. I don't think I could do that. Josh Allen's the number 1 or number 2 overall player. Fields is probably like a third rounder, and I'm not saying he's not a great third round Superflex player, and he might not even be third round. Like in Dynasty, who knows where he falls, but Hunter I love, but if Hunter is a third or fourth rounder in Dynasty, 1 QB is a fourth or, call him a fourth rounder, I suppose, in Superflex Dynasty. And then Tet, same thing, he's a fourth rounder in non-Superflex, probably but that's in redraft. In Dynasty, might be like a 3-4 turn player, but in Superflex Dynasty, he's probably 3, 4, or 4. You're getting nobody that even lives in the round 2 territory. So I don't think I could. There's no way I could give up the number 1 or number 2 overall player, and Josh Allen's going to carry you, just carry you. And he's still young.
Allen should, he'll survive through a rebuild.
What you need to get is a Bo Nix or Mahomes plus.
Oh, he has Nix as his second QB.
Yeah, but regardless.
He has Allen and Nix.
Yeah, regardless, you need to go get a Bo Nix type player. Let's write Mahomes here. You go get Mahomes and let's say Hampton. Like, that's what you need to get. That's what you need to get, because Mahomes is a big downgrade from Josh Allen to most people. The perception's reality, and that should cost you a 3rd or 4th round player. You should get a 3rd or a 4th round player. Which, Hunter or Hampton with Mahomes, I could get on board that train. But it'd have to be something like that. You're going down to like QB 4 or 5 or 6. I do not just go for Fields and then get a bunch of players who I like a lot, but this is Superflex, a whole different ballgame. How much stock do you put into Vegas? What Vegas thinks? I read Vegas likes Gibbs over Bijan. Vegas likes Goff, McCarthy, DJ Moore, Ridley, Judy. I don't put much stock into Vegas, bro. You got to also understand.
Vegas doesn't like or hate anyone.
Yeah, it's the lines move based on the how many people are on each side. So, like, if let's say Vegas is saying, Bijan's going to run, just use the yardage example, run for 1,500 yards, okay, and that's what Vegas sets. This would be over, this would be under, and that's what they set. And they do set it, okay, but once it's set, the line's going to move based on how many people pile on. If people are like, oh, he's going to do this, I'm going to grab it here, and there's one person here, and I'm going to grab this here, this line's going to go, whoa, 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 whoa. This is too easy. People are overloading this side, and we're going to lose a bunch of money if this goes one way. So now we got to move the line over here, and that way we get more people jumping over here. Oh, I like this side. I like this side. Now it's even. So these lines move based on the bettors. Now, you could say, ask the audience, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is always usually right? So you're asking a big amount of people, so it is a pretty good indicator of some things. But the one thing you'll notice in Vegas betting is a lot of people don't play fantasy football, and so a lot of Vegas bettors are going off of like last year. I wish there are more people that play fantasy now betting on lines, but this is like, you can't just look at it's not Vegas cooking up an algorithm and just like they're sitting there going, oh yeah, according to the algorithm, Bijan's going, yep, Bijan over. You got to remember, they're not letting you know what they think at all. It's not their job. And if Vegas was telling you one thing over another, by like, hey, the line's different for Bijan than it is Gibbs, that doesn't necessarily mean they believe that Bijan will outscore Gibbs. It's a lot of it is just that the people think that, but it doesn't change anything. Like, what did the line say about Bucky last year? What did the line say about Caleb Williams? Caleb's going to have over this amount of yards. No rookie's ever been handed a better situation. Caleb Williams is going to ball out as a rookie. I mean, no, Vegas doesn't, determine all that. And again, the people do, not Vegas. Vegas's algorithms and data might start where a line might be, but it moves based on them just, and all they do is just take this VIG in between. So they just want to make no money on it. I mean, I'm sure they do some things where they're like, we have insider information, and they move it, and they it's kind of like making a move. I'm sure there's something like that happens. But for the most part, it is this in-between, VIG that you pay. In order to do a $100 bet, you're paying them $10, and then they take your $10 to allow you to bet, and then they try and make everybody be equal on both sides so that they just keep getting that $10 per 100 from everybody. And that's how they make their money. That's it. And you got to also keep in mind that there's a reason why this works so well. And there's a lot of people that do this and trick people or whatever. But basically, if you go to Steve and you say to Steve, hey, Steve, and then you got Joe over here, and you go, Steve, I got inside information that the San Francisco 49ers are going to beat the Cardinals this weekend. Brock Purdy was out partying last night. He's got a hangover. And so bet on the San Francisco 49ers. And Steve's like, okay, got it. This is like what some of those advice people do. They're like, for $59.99, I'll give you my pick. And then they go to Joe and they go, Joe, I heard that, I'm sorry. So he's bet on Arizona because he talked about Brock Purdy. So Arizona. Then you go to Joe and you go, bro, Joe, Kyler Murray was out drinking last night. He's got a hangover. I got good authority that the Cardinals are going to lose this game. So he picked San Francisco. Guess what happens? One of these people think you're a genius, and they're coming back next time. Okay, so let's say the Niners win the game. Joe thinks you've got that inside track. Oh, my God, this guy got it. Guess what this guy's going to do? He might still come back. So you don't even necessarily lose him. So in a sense, when Vegas gets this thing right in the middle, it's feeding into the more accurate it is right in the middle. You got 50% of these people that have just won. You don't want it lopsided anyway because they're coming back. And then the 40% of this 50 come back. But yeah,
if 40 to 50% of customers become regulars at any business, you're successful.
My buddy found out that a guy that he was paying a guy like $59 to give him his pick, and then he found out his buddy told him he was telling two different people each team every time, and he just kept bringing one person back, and the other person sometimes would come back anyway, and he'd be like, sorry about that. He ended up getting over the hangover. It's crazy. All right, Travis, I got to roll. See you tonight.
Yep, later.
Thank you for the super chat. And this one from Jarrett. Jarrett P. Appreciate you. Jarrett says, hey, Smitty, any advice, strategies? I'm drafting for a new Dynasty League Superflex auction draft. I'm nervous about Jarrett, you still here? Nervous about the auction. Do you have vids on this? I will create something on auction, but at the end of the day, it really just comes down to the fact that, rule number one, don't call out any players you want. Let people spend money so that when your players get called up by another person, you don't want to call them up. If you want Mahomes, don't ever mention his name. And so when Mahomes comes up, you want so many other quarterbacks to bleed everybody's pocketbook dry. And the key is to have as much money spent as possible. Okay, Jarrett? So don't call out the players you want. That's rule number one. Rule number two, either decide two different Gump, can you mute yourself? Either decide two different strategies. One I really like this year, Jared, and it's not for the faint of heart. If you're already nervous about it, I probably wouldn't do this because you sound like this isn't something to help you sleep at night. I really love the two-headed monster, something your boy coined so many years ago. Bijan and Gibbs you just haven't had two running backs like this in a while. You spend $90 of your $200 on each of them, and you've got a little bit of money extra left over, and you just build a roster around this. The only other way that, in my opinion, is the best way to travel in an auction is go after. Not saying you can't have one big gun, but write down the players or just know them that are doubted. Who are the doubted players in a regular draft? If I start combing through regular redraft ADP, Kyren's in round 4. Hall's in round 4. Kyren's sometimes in 3-4. So he's in the 3 to 4 range. Hall's in the 3 to 4 range. Bucky shouldn't be going at 20 overall, 20 ADP. Mahomes is completely disrespected and going in 7. 7, 8. You've got Hampton, Harvey, all these guys. So these are the players that'll probably give you the most bang for your buck and allow you to accumulate multiple players. Instead of buying one player, let's call Barkley at $78, you're going to be able to get Kyren for probably, $50, and then that allows you to go get a receiver, or now you can get a potential, you could get Debo and Egbuka and Kyren for maybe the cost of what would cost a $78 Barkley. So my advice is to just attack the players you love that are the doubted guys on ADP redraft, and it should fall in line with being able to accumulate and collect the most possible. Just, Jared, if you're nervous, I just tell you one thing. Don't be afraid to get involved. Don't overly commit. But definitely don't leave money on the table, and then you've got $25 left and no players are left, and you're forced to overspend on every player and win every bid, but you got a bunch of crap. Make sure you're not afraid to spend $55 when you're like planning for 50. So that would be my advice. Auction's not for the faint of heart, though. If you're nervous about it, you don't like it. I mean, it's a rush. It is a rush, and things can go awry, or you could walk out very, very happy. Gump, you're live. Thank you, Jared. You got 10 seconds, Gump, before I probably hang up on your lion take of the day.
Oh no! Let's not do lion take today. Let's not be a fickle Francis. I'm going to talk about Mahomes. All right.
Okay.
Every year, like clockwork, they don't play Mahomes hard until playoff time. You ain't gonna get no points.
Not true.
Just like the Lions.
Not true.
Every freaking year,
Cap.
They go into training camp and
Cap.
they beat each other up. Now we got a bunch of people injured because Campbell. You might think he's a meathead. Maybe you can convince me he's a meathead. But doggone it all, they're beating each other up again.
What's your point about Mahomes? What are you trying to say about Mahomes? You just said no Lions. You went straight for the Lions. You went straight for the Lions. You just said no Lions, and now you're back on the Lions.
Both coaches are doing the same thing.
Andy
Reid is not going to play Mahomes hard until playoff time. He's going to make sure he's healthy.
Cap.
You're not going to get a bunch of points. No way.
Cap.
No way.
Cap.
Let's not be a fickle Francis.
Cap.
About this.
So let me ask you a question. How many times has Mahomes been a top 4 QB?
Mahomes, come on, he's not going to be.
How many times has he been a top 4 QB? Let me answer the question for you. Mahomes has been a top 4 QB more times than he's not been a top 4 QB. So when you come, hold on, Gup. When you come in with that nonsense, absolute nonsense of Mahomes. You're just gonna hold. They always hold him back. They always hold him back. Why has he been a top 4 quarterback more times than he's not? 1, 3, 4, 1. Only 3 years has he not been a top 4 quarterback. You're not answering the question. You're dancing around. You're dancing around, Gump. Answer the question. Why are you spitting out that garbage saying that they always hold it? They don't always nothing. Okay, so now you're backtracking because your data doesn't actually go anywhere. Your data doesn't go anywhere, so now you're just going to move on and just say, yeah, and my answer is you're not going to do it. Now, you're not going to win with Mahomes. Answer the question. How is what you say true when he's been a top 4 quarterback more than he's not been? He had all of his receivers go down.
I would have grabbed Mahomes.
What?
I grabbed Baker.
That's your answer? Oh, okay. Smitty, you're right. So I'm just going to change the subject, or I'm going to try and act like I don't need to answer your question. You can't answer my question. That's why you're saying things like, your voice gets high, and you say, I'd rather have Goff.
Why did I have him in my league until he made me lose like 5 games? Barely put me over the freaking
he lost Rashee Rice. He lost Hollywood Brown, and the man marched to the Super Bowl. What do you want him to do? And they're airing it out. Worthy wasn't
the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Because he was a powder puff.
Oh, and your Lions were just so much better than the Chiefs. Oh, you weren't last year, Gump. I'm sorry about that.
Powder puff. They're not going to win anymore. They're powder puff.
Call terminated.
Jeez, I love when people don't have a take, so they just say something else. They're like, he every year he does every year. Well, not every. You mean he's been a top 4 QB more times than he's not? Oh, well, you're better off drafting. I'm just going to tell you this instead then, since I don't have a take anymore and you've taken away my ammunition. Gump, you still haven't super chatted. You still have never super chatted on this show. And you owe me a bucket of chicken. I love auction leagues, and Smitty nailed the analysis. This year's depth is even more of a reason to wait while guys bid on talent. Depth always wins. It's true, and thank you, BBQ. But people need to be very, very careful not to overbid, and don't bid on a player you're not wanting to have on your team. But you also find so many nervous Neds that hold on to their money. And then once the last big player's gone and they miss it, they're like, I have $35 left and you've nobody. And you could have just taken that $35 and got Bijan. You could have upgraded your garbage Mixon for Bijan with the extra money you have with no good players left. And then you're like, no. And you have nightmares and you can't let that happen. That is the worst scenario, holding on to your money like a nervous Ned. You can't overspend. But don't do it. Gump filibuster. I don't let Gump filibuster. I'll hang up on him so quick. But he didn't have a point at all. He's all about hating every other team but the Lions. He has no point whatsoever. No point whatsoever. All right. I'll see you all at midnight Eastern. I'm live whenever news breaks. I'm live midnight Eastern almost every single night. I'm live 8 p.m. Eastern Monday through Friday. Don't forget to get on over to my Patreon. I'm going to go over there right now and chat with you all right now. Get on over to the Patreon. Links in the description. Links in the description of every video. If you ever want to join the Patreon later and you think, what was that link? It's in the description of any video. There's the link right now. Jump into the Patreon. I'll be over there. I go in there after every show, and I hang out there pretty much all day long. Anyway, I will see you all at midnight Eastern. We'll be back here breaking down probably some more news that probably ends up dropping between now and midnight Eastern. In fact, let me open up my phone and see what kind of alerts are blasting through or trying to get through while I'm live and talking to you fine folks. I don't see anything crazy yet. I don't see anything updating me on anything we haven't already talked about. Okay, we're good for right now. Trey Harris looking great in his one-on-one separations. Wow. I love Trey Harris. Trey Harris to the moon. See you all midnight Eastern. Appreciate you. Thank you to my super chatters. Thank you, BBQ, for the gifted memberships. Thank you, Blanco. Thank you, Russian Collusion, Travesty, The Buzz, Andy, Maximum, BBQ, Official, BBQ, Matt, Poppy's a little sloppy, Jarrett, Morgan, or I don't know, Morgan, I forget how do you say that name. BBQ, appreciate you all. Deuce.
He's Kyren, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyren, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.